tied in with certain dudes that aren't good for them, and they just keep going.
She is just so blinded by the fact that she would do anything for her man.
It gets to the point where, they have to make a decision in their life.
When push comes to shove, who will you choose? Yourself or your man?
She's putting her trust in him. She's pouring her heart out to him.
Some men are able to see that someone is missing something and take advantage.
She had a lot of opportunities not to go down that road and never stopped.
No amount of being in love is worth your life.
March 24th, 2016, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A city once known as the heart of America's steel industry, Pittsburgh has reinvented itself for the 21st century.
Pittsburgh was on the decline for a really long time, but it's come back to life.
It's a great city. It's a city made up of a bunch of different neighborhoods, so it's a bunch of little cities in one.
But not every corner of the Steel City has kept pace with its revitalization efforts.
Pittsburgh is a very diverse city where there are areas that are extremely beautiful and safe and quiet, and then there are some neighborhoods that are extremely dangerous and violent.
One of Pittsburgh's seedier areas is a neighborhood known as Beltshoover, located on the shores of the Monongahela River.
Beltshoover is a pretty violent area, and there's a lot of drug activity, street gangs.
So when a flurry of 911 calls come in that afternoon, reporting gunshots in the Beltshoover area, Pittsburgh police are ready for anything.
And when the patrol officers arrived, they met with a witness on scene who essentially pointed them in the direction of the shots fired.
This particular location, it was a wooded area. It was relatively secluded.
As police make their way inside the brush, they come upon an unsettling scene.
They found a young man lying face down in a pool of blood.
The man doesn't respond when officers call out to him, and it quickly becomes clear why.
He's been shot more than a dozen times.
He was shot in the torso and in the face.
There was a lot of blood. Medics came to render first aid, but it was obviously too late. He was deceased.
At first glance, there's no indication of who the dead man is.
He didn't have ID, he didn't have a cell phone. So initially, we didn't have much to go on.
But police get a hit when they run the victim's fingerprints through their database.
He's identified as 21-year-old Savion Scott Ponder.
To those that knew him, Savion Scott Ponder was hardworking, kind, and creative.
He was a college student at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It's a local school outside the Pittsburgh area.
There, Savion pursued his lifelong dream of becoming a fashion designer.
He had a clothing company.
He was always into clothes, into design, and that's what he wanted to do with his life.
He had a bright future ahead of him. He was in college, he was trying to make ends meet, he was doing the hustle, but he was also doing the studying.
And in November of 2015, Savion got some life-changing news. He was about to become a father.
He had a girlfriend. They were a pretty new thing. This wasn't something they had planned, but he really stepped up to the plate. He got an apartment with his girlfriend and another good friend. He was going to school, he was trying to build a life for himself and for his family.
But now, Savion has been found brutally shot to death in a wooded area on the seedy south side of Pittsburgh. And as investigators search the crime scene for clues, they keep coming up empty-handed.
There was little evidence to go on.
We recovered 7 casings. But other than that, there wasn't a ton of physical evidence to help us.
The crime scene wasn't extraordinarily elaborate, but what's very interesting was the fact that he didn't have shoes on.
It's a small detail that strikes the detectives as potentially significant.
There was no real reason why the shoes were off. There's nothing that showed that there were any gunshot wounds by his legs or his feet to that extent. Possibly there were a pair of expensive shoes that were taken.
We thought robbery was a possibility. People like shoes, it's kind of a commodity.
Had Savion been killed in a robbery gone wrong? Or is there another explanation for his violent death? Investigators hope that their eyewitness holds the answer.
Well, we started with the original 911 caller, who was a resident of the area. They saw the vehicle drive down, which was very strange because it's not a very high trafficked area.
Even more strange, this witness then says that she saw two men dragging another man into the woods.
A few moments later, she heard a barrage of gunshots coming from the woods. She told police it sounded like someone emptied their gun.
It's not a firing range. There's no reason to hear one gunshot, let alone multiple, 10 plus.
Once the shooting stopped, the witness says only two of the men emerged from the woods and fled in a gray car.
So you have basically someone driving a car to a desolate location, 3 individuals, one being led into a field, and then only 2 coming back. It's pretty clear at this point this isn't a robbery.
It sounds more like a cold-blooded murder.
If you're just there to steal someone's shoes, you're not going to shoot them a dozen more times.
This was just straight execution.
Then the question becomes, why was Savion the target of such an execution?
March 24th, 2016. After responding to a string of urgent 911 calls, Pittsburgh police have found 21-year-old college student Savion Scott Ponder shot to death in a wooded area on the south side of town.
The responding officer saw a large amount of blood, and the victim had no shoes on. It appeared to the officers that he had been shot multiple times.
At first, investigators thought they could be dealing with a robbery. But now, an eyewitness account has led them to consider another possibility.
It sounds like an execution-style murder.
There wasn't anything to indicate at that time that it had anything to do with the robbery.
Along with the witness's account, the sheer violence of the crime points to a more personal motive.
To shoot someone over a dozen times, you have to have a real vendetta against him.
It showed that the person was either very angry or wanted to make sure that the victim was dead, or to send some sort of message.
My partners and I worked through the evening to work the angle from the initial witness saying that they saw 2 black males in a gray car flee. So we kind of try to work backwards, the things we do know, which is the victim's identity.
We tried to speak with family or friends or get any idea of who he was, where he was, why he would be there.
His mom said he was staying at 5 Boggs Avenue, which is in very close distance, within 1.5 miles or so of the murder scene. So our next move was to go to that area.
At the apartment, police are met by Savion's devastated girlfriend and their roommate. The couple's roommate tells police he last saw Savion the day before, and he'd noticed Savion was acting strange.
His roommate tells officers that Savion was a small-time drug dealer that sold a little bit, here and there to help cover the rent.
And he also mentions that earlier in the day, Savion had left to go sell some Xanax to a woman. He never told his roommate the name of the woman, but one thing that his roommate did note was that when Savion got home, he had a bunch of cash on him.
Savion seemed happy with the deal he'd struck. But later that afternoon, there was a knock at the door.
According to the roommate, Savion answered the door and went outside.
Savion's roommate said that he went to the window to take a peek at what was going on.
He said he saw Savion climb into the passenger seat of a Ford Focus with 2 men in the back seat and a woman behind the wheel.
And that's the last time the witnesses see Savion.
Savion's roommate didn't recognize any of the individuals in the car. Yet his information is still vital for the investigation.
So now, armed with that, we have a pretty good idea that this is a murder, probably based on a drug deal gone bad.
The description of the car matched the one the witness saw at the crime scene. So police were pretty sure that these individuals were Savion's killers.
But who are the three suspects? Detectives immediately get to work trying to find out.
We do a canvas for surveillance video. It's very common. We do it all the time.
Right off the bat, we get this video from one of the businesses right on that main street on Boggs.
As the tape rolls, detectives bear witness to a chilling scene.
We were able to obtain video that shows the victim actually bail out of a moving car.
And then two black males exit the vehicle on each side and chase him.
He runs up the back of the building. It's a pretty steep hill, and you can really see the fear in the victim, and you can see that he's running for his life.
It was a pretty intense, let's say, foot chase. At which point, a third suspect stayed in the vehicle and drove around almost in an attempt to either cut him off or an attempt to gain an advantage on catching him on the other side of this steep hill.
He eventually runs around this building, and then in the rear of the building, the surveillance doesn't actually show where they recapture him, but it does show shortly thereafter, they're walking him down, holding him by the arms.
And you can see he's out of breath, that he really wanted to get away. He realized that this situation could end badly.
It's a harrowing scene that's difficult for even the most seasoned investigators to watch.
We obviously know that Savion was murdered, and so what we're looking at is the last few moments of his life.
The video also provides a key piece of evidence.
The video is very clear and very close, and you're able to see everyone's face.
The footage provided a description of all three suspects, but even more importantly, it gave them the license plate of the Ford Focus.
We got the license plate off her car, and that's how we identified it. Erica Harris.
The name doesn't ring any bells for homicide detectives.
We didn't know her prior to this day. I didn't have any interaction with her, nor did any of my partners or colleagues that I'm aware of.
Looking into Erica's background, she doesn't seem like a hardened criminal.
On the contrary, 24-year-old Erica Harris appears to be a happy, well-adjusted young woman on the path to success.
Growing up, Erica lived a very soft life, as some people would say. Her and her father had a really great relationship. She was referred to as Daddy's little angel by so many people that knew them.
We found out she had a steady job. She seemed like she was organized and fairly intelligent. She seemed to care about her family and her friends.
She was going to go to school, and she seemed like someone that had her own thing going on.
But behind closed doors, Erica was still suffering from the tragedy of losing her father just a couple years earlier.
Sadly, when her father died, that changed everything for Erica. Her whole life, just felt shattered, and things really got out of control.
Typically, we associate our fathers with security and safety and protection. So those are some of the really important things that would be missing if suddenly her father is no longer around. Who's there to make her feel secure and to make her feel unconditionally loved.
Erica tried to soldier on, but life wasn't the same without the person who mattered most to her.
Trauma impacts us in every way that you can think about. Physically, emotionally, relationally, mentally. Some people may hide inward, but others will externalize their trauma. So they might run for the bad boys or engage in more risque behaviors.
Erica longed to find someone to fill the hole in her heart. And she finally did when she met 21-year-old Mitchell Coles.
When they met, it was like an instant connection. Like, you were the person I've always been looking for.
She thought he was going to be the one that was going to provide, the one that was going to get her life back on track.
You could tell that she did have a lot invested in their relationship and that they cared about each other and they were very intimate and just very close.
But there was a side of Mitchell that gave Erica pause.
Unfortunately, Mitchell was a drug dealer, and Erica wasn't a fan of that at all. But what could she do? She loved him, and the sense of security and safety that provided was beyond anything she ever imagined.
She saw him as a loving man, someone that she could build a future with. And they had a connection. There was a bond there outside of the drug dealing. There were so many other things that came with his life that was rewarding for her.
But now, detectives are wondering, did Mitchell Coles drag Erica into his life of crime?
Mitchell had a fairly violent criminal history. He was involved in shootings, firearms violations, stuff like that.
And when investigators roll back the tape of Savion's abduction, they find their answer.
We look at the surveillance video of the individuals chasing Savion Ponder, and one of the individuals appears to be Mitchell Coles.
You could see it as clear as day that it was him.
After discovering surveillance video of 21-year-old Savion Scott Ponder's abduction, Pittsburgh police have identified Erica Harris as one of 3 suspects in Savion's murder.
You could look at it and say, oh, it's very clear that that's her vehicle being so distinct and being right on video. There's a nail in the coffin.
Police believe that Erica's boyfriend, Mitchell Coles, is one of the other individuals caught on tape.
Well, we had evidence from the video surveillance that he intentionally ran after him, caught up to him, and forcibly dragged him back to the vehicle.
Now, detectives are ready to take their suspects into custody.
2 detectives in our office took a ride up through the north side to an area where they knew Mitchell Coles to be living at and observed the gray Ford out front.
So they call for backup, and some other officers and detectives arrive, including myself.
They found both suspects inside, and they surrendered without incident.
At this point, both Erica and Mitchell are taken to the police department and then transferred over for interrogation.
The detectives decide to start with Erica.
Once we brought Erica back to interview her, she sat in the room. She was very cold. She almost pretended like this wasn't that big of a deal, and she seemed to be oddly calm.
The best way I can describe it, when someone comes in, you offer them water or a drink or Pepsi or a cigarette. But when you interview innocent people, they generally are very frightened and don't really want anything.
We actually offered Erica an ice cream sandwich, and she took it, which we found to be very strange.
I remember me and Detective Kale were like, man, nobody's taken the ice cream sandwich before.
We're talking about a murder, and she's eating an ice cream sandwich.
While Erica's behavior raises red flags, she refrains from admitting any wrongdoing.
Erica remains composed the entire time, and she disavows any knowledge of Savion's abduction and later murder. She tells detectives she has nothing to say.
That's when investigators offer to cut her a deal.
It's called Queen for a Day, and it means that you can come in, say all your involvement, implicate as many people as you can in exchange for a reduced sentence.
It's basically a get-out-of-jail-free card, but Erica wasn't biting.
She wouldn't answer any questions. She was just not helpful.
Eventually, she lawyered up, and then she was arrested and charged and taken to the county jail.
With Erica refusing to talk, detectives turn their attention to her boyfriend, Mitchell Coles.
But just like Erica, Mitchell Coles says he doesn't know what's going on.
He started with, I wasn't there, I don't know who this is. And then once she's presented with the evidence that we had, he realized that if he says something that maybe he could talk his way out of it.
Detectives pull out the footage and show Mitchell chasing Savion down when Savion gets out the car. So at this point, they're expecting the confession. Instead, Mitchell says that they were racing.
While Mitchell never admits to being involved in Savion's murder, his absurd claim about racing does give the investigators more ammunition to use against him.
He puts himself on the scene. He's not denying it's him. He also said Erica had nothing to do with it. All she did was drive. So, of course, he implicates her as being part of what occurred.
It was huge because whenever you can corroborate any evidence, I mean, we had the video surveillance of her vehicle, we had her in the driver's seat, and we had Mitchell putting her there, putting her basically at the crime the whole time.
But there's another huge piece of this puzzle that's still missing.
We knew there was a third actor involved.
Who was the man that was in the car with Mitchell and Eric?
Detectives are about to find out. From the last place they could have imagined.
We received information that was really important to us.
Erica had a change of heart.
She's now willing to cooperate and give them everything.
In March of 2016, Pittsburgh police have arrested 2 individuals in the shooting murder of Savion Scott Ponder, Erica Harris, and Mitchell Coles.
We had a massive amount of evidence we were able to compile against them.
Erica was in love, and so she was willing to do anything. She put a lot of her feelings and even common sense aside to be by her man.
Detectives believe another unidentified man helped the couple commit their crime. But so far, Erica and Mitchell have refused to give up his name.
There was a lack of willing to play ball.
Without their cooperation, police had no way of identifying who the man in the surveillance video was.
It was kind of fruitless at that point.
But then, the investigators received surprising news from the county jail.
Once she was in jail, Erica found out she was pregnant.
Mitchell, the co-defendant, is the dad.
The realization that she's carrying a child forces Erica to reevaluate her situation.
Finding out that you're pregnant changes a lot for you, because now you're no longer thinking about you, you're thinking about your child.
That is pivotal on what her next moves are going to be, because she is now about to become a parent.
Although Erica was previously willing to stand by Mitchell till the end, she now signals to the investigators that she's ready to cut a deal.
The idea of being pregnant while in jail has got to be terrifying, right? And I imagine that gave her a new perspective on life. And that must have been that shift. Like, let me now say something. If it'll save me and my baby in any way.
So she comes in with her attorney. We have the district attorney. And she agrees to give the statement with a number of stipulations.
First and foremost, Erica is required to tell police everything she knows about the murder of Savion Scott Ponder.
Also, she had to give up her consent to having her phone forensically downloaded for the content.
But for Erica, the most troubling condition of all comes last.
Part of the deal was for reduced charges, that she was going to not have further communications with Mr. Coles while he was in jail.
For someone like Erica, not being able to talk to someone you see as the love of your life, that might have been a worse sentence than prison.
Keep in mind, she's pregnant. If you thought they were close before the incident, this is now a bond that's way beyond anything they felt before.
With no other options on the table, Erica reluctantly agrees to the deal. And before long, she's sitting down with investigators to tell them exactly what happened on the night of Savion's death.
According to Erica, this all started when she agreed to run an errand for her boyfriend. She would do anything Mitchell asked her. This time she agreed to go pick up some drugs from Savion.
She loved him and she wants to prove her love to him. So she ran the errand.
It just so happened instead of getting a gallon of milk, she was going to buy weed.
Erica tells the detectives that Mitchell gave her $800 in cash, along with Savion's address.
So basically, she was simply supposed to pick up these drugs from Savion, in and out.
She believes she's buying marijuana that can then be resold. At which point, once the transaction occurs, Ponder gives her Xanax instead of marijuana. Erica attempts to say she doesn't want the Xanax, she wants marijuana, at which point Ponder tells her, you get what you get, you're out.
She gave him this money, and she didn't get her drugs. So trouble was afoot.
She calls Mitchell and says, hey, our guy just burned me for $800.
Erica says that call started a chain of events she never saw coming.
Mitchell was furious, and he was determined to get his money back by any means necessary.
I don't know what was going through her mind at that point, but I can't imagine that she thought that anything good was going to happen to Ponder by getting Mitchell Coles involved.
Before confronting Savion, Mitchell decided to recruit some extra muscle.
Erica says this is the person that was in the car with them, the person who was on the surveillance video. And she tells the police his name is Johnny Raines.
Mitchell and him had a long relationship. They were associates. They had been shot together. So they've been involved in this criminal life together.
Erica tells the detectives she was worried about what the two men were going to do to Savion, but not worried enough to back out of the plan.
She is just so blinded by the fact that she would do anything for her man. This is the man that stepped in when her father was gone. This is the man that she was in love with.
So, Erica agreed to drive Mitchell and Johnny to Savion's apartment.
They told Savion to get them their money or else.
At that point, it doesn't go so well. Mr. Ponder had subsequently used that $800, threw in another $100 of his own, and bought $900 worth of Xanax pills. At that point, he didn't have the marijuana to give them for money.
Mitchell and Johnny forced Savion into the passenger seat of Erica's car.
And they drive around for him to try to either get the marijuana or get the money back from the Xanax.
Savion knows he's in trouble, and he tries to remedy the situation. Initially, he tries to sell the Xanax back to the person he bought it from. They're like, forget it. You did this deal. We're not giving you your money back.
When that became apparent to Mr. Cole and Mr. Raines that they weren't getting their money back, that's when things started to escalate.
That is when Savion flees the vehicle and runs until they capture him. So that amps up the energy in the situation. They are angry.
After Savion's escape attempt, Erica says Mitchell was done messing around.
Once they get back in that car, the mood is different.
The situation just escalated and kept escalating and escalating.
Mitchell tells Erica that they need to go to Beltuva.
One way or another, Savion was going to pay.
The next thing you know, she's hearing gunshots.
If advanced lung cancer has you searching for possibilities, discover a different first treatment. Immunotherapies work with your immune system to attack cancer, but Opdivo plus Yervoy is the first combination.
April 2016. A month after Savion Scott Ponder was found shot to death, Erica Harris has agreed to tell the Pittsburgh police everything she knows about the homicide.
Erica and Mitchell, what they were trying to do was recoup the money that they had believed they had been burnt. The victim had not given them the marijuana that they believed they were supposed to purchase.
Erica has told investigators that, despite her misgivings, she agreed to go along with her boyfriend's plan to make Savion pay.
When emotions are high, logic is low.
Erica really was someone who prioritized Mitchell. She loved him, and she was very much invested in protecting him.
Any hesitation Erica had was drowned out by her desire to do anything to help her man.
So, when Mitchell ordered her to drive to a secluded area in South Pittsburgh, Erica did as she was told.
Erica's fear level was rising, not knowing what would happen next and not knowing what Mitchell would do.
She was thinking, maybe he's gonna beat him up. But you also have to think in your mind, I don't know how far this could go.
Erica says she waited in the car while Mitchell and his friend Johnny Rains led Savion into the woods.
They hook him up under the arms and they escort him. Essentially, they're walking him to his death.
Savion had to be terrified out of his mind.
Any doubts Erica had about what her boyfriend was going to do to Savion were quickly dispelled.
She heard gunshots coming from the woods.
Not long after that, Mitchell and Johnny walked back from the woods, and they were carrying Savion's shoes, but Savion was not with them.
On the drive home, Erica says neither of the men said a word.
She said it was quiet. They didn't really talk about it. They didn't know what to say.
But which of the two men pulled the trigger? Investigators hope that Johnny Rains may provide the answer.
We were able to get a warrant for Johnny Rains as the third accomplice, and the next day we went out and got him.
Detectives questioned Johnny about what happened after he and Mitchell walked into the woods with Savion. But despite undergoing hours of rigorous interrogation, Johnny remains tight-lipped.
He didn't make a statement either, and to date he's never made a statement about his guilt or his participation.
That's a big problem for this investigation, because it's tough to convict somebody of murder if you don't actually know who the shooter is.
With Johnny refusing to talk, the investigators decide to take another swing at Mitchell Coles.
Once Mitchell heard Erica was talking, he told detectives he wanted a plea deal of his own.
Part of Mitchell's plea bargain was that he gave up all the information, that he took a step-by-step through the case.
So Mitchell came in and gave us a second interview, which he detailed how Savion was murdered.
Mitchell's story picks up where Erica's left off, as he and Johnny Rains walked Savion into the woods in Beltshoover.
They got him out, walked him in. I want to say it was about 30 to 50 feet, maybe. I would assume they were trying to just get as secluded as they could.
Mitchell rationalizes it by telling us that you got to do what you got to do. There's bills that need paid. You're not ripping me off.
I think Savion knew what was about to happen. He knows they're armed. They're agitated because he ran. He has to know that he's either going to get beaten severely or killed.
According to Mitchell, Savion's terror was plain to see.
He's talking, and Mitchell flat out asks him, so what are you doing? He's like, I'm praying.
He's praying that they're not going to hurt him because he had full intentions of trying to make it right. He was trying to do anything he could that they wouldn't harm him.
But Mitchell and Johnny had no intentions of letting Savion go.
That's when Johnny Rains takes Ponder's shoes off of him.
They remove his shoes in an attempt for him not to attempt to escape again.
And then Savion says to them, like, what are you going to do now? Are you going to pistol whip me? Are you going to beat my ass?
That's when Mitchell's like, well, we have to do something here. It's the end of the road.
When Barbara switched to TurboTax,
I broke 4 generations of family tradition. Ma, I want to make perfume.
so I made Barbara's new sidekick count by guaranteeing her maximum refund. Intuit TurboTax.
Last hand, I'm headed to my granddaughter's for dinner.
Chrissy cooks?
She cooks like a mother.
Like a mother?
Like a mother.
Ragu. Reach for the sauce that started in an Italian mother's kitchen. Ragu sauce. Cook like a mother.
You must be very careful, Margaret. It's like a...
By the spring of 2016, Pittsburgh police have arrested 3 suspects for the murder of Savion Scott Ponder, Erica Harris, Mitchell Coles, and Johnny Rains.
Investigators have all 3 perps in custody.
Now, after learning that his girlfriend is cooperating with the investigators, Mitchell Coles has agreed to provide a statement of his own. He admits that he and his friend, Johnny Rains, forced Savion into the woods.
That's when Mitchell's like, well, we have to do something here. It's the end of the road. And Mitchell produces that gun, and it's all over for him. He says, I take the gun out and I shoot him.
But according to Mitchell, he wasn't the only one who shot Savion.
During the second interview with Mitchell Coles, he indicates that he shot Savion multiple times and handed the gun to Johnny.
He gave the gun to Johnny Raines, who then emptied the clip onto Savion.
And that was incredibly chilling during that interview of Mr. Coles. It was stone cold killer at that point.
Mitchell's statement clears up any remaining doubt about what happened to Savion.
We knew there was one gun used, but we didn't really know how that sequence went down until Mitchell comes in and tells us.
I can't get into their head to why they did that. I would just have to assume or to think that Mitchell wanted Johnny to be as culpable in the homicide as he was. So if he fired into the victim as well, it would also make him part of the murder.
We do believe Mitchell because it did fit what happened. It fit the details of the case. The way the scene was and the sound of emptying the gun from the witnesses, his story did fit.
Following his confession, Mitchell Coles pleads guilty to conspiracy, kidnapping, and third-degree murder.
In the state of Pennsylvania, there's 3 degrees of homicide. There's first-degree murder, and that's the one we all think about when you think of a premeditated murder. Second-degree murder is when someone is murdered in the commission of a felony. Third-degree murder would be any other sort of murder where your actions, you intended to kill that person.
Mitchell's statement also seals the fate of Johnny Raines.
That same month, Johnny Raines pleads guilty as well.
I think once he realized that, Erica had given us a statement and then Mitchell gave us a statement, I think the writing was on the wall.
Both men are sentenced to serve up to 50 years in prison. But the last of the 3 defendants, Erica Harris, is anticipating a far milder punishment.
Ultimately, she was charged with the kidnapping.
The reason why Erica is not facing a murder charge is because of the fact that she agreed with prosecutors to not have any contact with her boyfriend, Mitchell Coles, during the entire investigation.
However, as her sentencing date draws near, investigators learn that Erica hasn't been keeping up her end of the bargain.
We realized that she'd still been talking to Mitchell on the phone.
We monitored jail communications, phone calls. So we know they're communicating and they still had a relationship. They were still saying, I love you, still communicating against the agreement.
Erica's kidnapping charges are now upgraded to include the same third-degree murder charges as Mitchell and Johnny.
And so the judge changed the sentencing based on her actions. When she broke the rule or the stipulations that the judge gave her, the good deal that we were going to give you, you can't get anymore.
The gravity of Erica's mistake doesn't fully sink in until she goes before a judge in August of 2017.
I remember when Erica Harris was sentenced, it seemed like she was almost shocked. We were in the courtroom and the judge handed her down a sentence of 20 to 45 years. Once all the circumstances and the facts of the case came out, the judge realized that even though she didn't pull the trigger, she had just as much culpability in this homicide as the other 2 did.
Savion's family is relieved to learn that none of their loved one's killers are going to get off easy.
When we spoke to them when the sentencing was happening, nothing we do, no sentence we're going to give them is going to make them whole again. They lost their son, their boyfriend, their best friend, their loved one. We're never going to fix that. But I think some closure comes in the fact that we got substantial sentences on everybody involved, including the driver, Miss Harris.
As for Erica Harris, she'll have decades behind bars to reflect on where she went wrong.
There were so many opportunities along the way for her to have pulled back and just save herself. But she'd sacrificed her life for Mitchell, and not just her life, but the life of her child, because this child's going to be without a mom and dad that's free in his or her life.
If I had $1 for every time I've been in an interview room and had to tell a young female, you have to think about yourself and the rest of your life. This man may have loved you, but look at the situation he got you in.
History and fairy tale romances can end in unimaginable tragedy.
Just what she needs.
She's successful, she's in love, everything falls in place.
But then she disappears without a trace.
You coming home tonight or what? Call when you get his name.
Have you heard anything from her?
Yes, sir.
Her SUV had been parked in the same spot, and that's what prompted him to call the police.
But he isn't the only one worried.
Her daughter hadn't heard from her in like 5 days.
She was afraid something like this might happen.
And the search for answers will reveal why.
He served more than 20 years in prison.
He had all these years to think about the mistakes that he had made.
19 turned everything upside down.
The shutdown really impacted people and their feeling isolated and their connection to people. And then I noticed that folks were outside, at restaurants like life was normal again.
People were still cautious, but people were happy to get back out. And I think it was a big sigh of relief to be back into the world. People started to feel like themselves again.
But that afternoon, things still feel far from normal for Tracy Brock.
Tracy's kind of worried about her mom.
Tracy, who lives in Indiana, speaks to her mom, Shawn Macklin, in Atlanta almost every day.
I've been trying to reach you all weekend.
She considered her mom kind of like her best friend.
And now here we are in the pandemic, in the midst of it. She doesn't know what's happening. She can't get in touch with her mom.
Call me. Love you.
It's now been 5 days since they last spoke.
Tracy is concerned, so she calls and asks the police to go by there to do a welfare check.
Atlanta non-emergency, how can I help you?
Hello. I'm calling to request a welfare check on my mom. She has a broken foot.
Her mother had just hurt her foot, so she had a boot on her leg.
Tracy was concerned, had her mother fallen and couldn't get up?
I'm just worried.
"56-year-old Shawn Macklin had spent most of her life serving others.
Shawn was a compassionate person. She worked in healthcare. She dedicated her life in a field where she could help others.
Folks who work in healthcare love people. They love working with people.
But Shawn's greatest love was her daughter.
She was there for her family, and she was an amazing mother.
Mother and daughter were especially close.
She's like her best friend.
And once Tracy had moved out and started having kids of her own, Shawn was ready to make a big life change.
At 56, you can find yourself in limbo because no, you're not 20, but you're also not 80. You have a lot of life ahead of you. So now what do I do? Where's my place in the world?
The search took her to Atlanta.
She really wanted to kind of live and enjoy, independence. So she moved down to Atlanta.
She got a job as an office manager with a local healthcare company.
Hi, you have an appointment this morning?
I have an appointment.
But even with a new city and a new job, there's still something missing.
She's looking for a partnership. Someone who can help make her feel more stable.
Okay, thank you so much.
Has anyone told you how infectious your smile is?
You can't say infectious in a doctor's office.
And in 2019, she met Bernard Stokes.
He's in his mid-50s, charismatic and charming.
Immediately, they hit it off. There's an instant attraction.
She's excited. Like, ooh, the potential is attractive.
My schedule's pretty flexible. Think you might want to meet me for some coffee?
I'd like that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That was probably exhilarating for her, and you fall really quick when that happens.
They get together and they start seeing each other. This is what Sean has been waiting for.
And she wasn't about to wait any longer.
The two of them decided to take their relationship to the next level, and they moved in together. Bernard was a maintenance man for an apartment complex, and because of his job, he got an apartment.
He had his own place. She has a good job. He has a good job. So things are going very well for Sean at this point.
She's successful. She's in love. She felt absolutely wonderful.
Okay.
But now Sean's daughter has called the Atlanta police, worried about her mother.
When she called, she said that they usually talk every single day, and she hadn't heard from her in like 5 days.
I'm afraid she might have fallen.
Her mother had recently fractured her foot and was wearing a boot on her leg.
With this boot on her foot, it's probably more challenging to move.
Her daughter said she would have checked on Sean in person, but she lives out of state.
And with the pandemic still a threat, her travel options are limited.
In November of 2020, even though the pandemic was kind of settling down, we were still in limbo in Atlanta. People were still dying because of COVID. It was still a very, very serious disease.
Not being able to see loved ones, not being able to see friends, that whole social dynamic really caused people some stress and anxiety.
No problem. We'll get someone right over there.
Thank you.
A welfare check is basically 911 dispatcher would dispatch an officer out to a location, and the officer will basically knock to see if someone comes to the door. They may walk around, look in the windows, looking for any reason for concern.
When the officer gets to Sean's apartment, someone answers his knock.
A man in his 50s opens the door.
It's Sean's boyfriend, Bernard.
You hear about Sean?
He expresses that he's worried about her.
He hasn't seen her since she left for work 4 days ago.
I hadn't seen her in a few days, but I already filed a missing person report.
We'll get you checked in, okay?
In Atlanta, Georgia, 56-year-old Sean Macklin was making the most of her newfound freedom.
When you become an empty nester, it's like your life restarts.
She was looking for a life where she can enjoy herself.
And she'd found the perfect man to grow older with.
He's charismatic, just what she needs now, someone to love on her.
She's successful, she's in love. They were looking forward to building their future.
I hadn't seen her in about 4 or 5 days.
But now Atlanta police are at the couple's apartment after Sean's daughter asked for a welfare check.
She hadn't heard from her mom. She speaks to her mom every single day.
And when Sean's boyfriend Bernard comes to the door, he says he tried to report her missing.
When was that?
A couple of days ago.
And that was the last time you saw her?
It was a couple of days before that.
He said that they had some personal issues going on.
Issues? What type of issues?
Hell, I just asked her to move out.
He said that he and Sean were in the process of splitting up.
He was given the apartment through his work, and so it was her who had to leave. And she agreed.
We still care about each other, but you know it's for the best.
I found an apartment.
He said that she actually was already packing her stuff and preparing to move.
According to Bernard, that's one reason it took him a couple days to call the police and report her missing.
He says on Friday the 6th, Sean got up at her usual time to get ready for work.
I'll be out of here soon.
All right. I can help you move your stuff if you need me to.
Thanks. I'm off to work.
And then she left for work after that?
And that was the last time you saw her?
Yeah.
Bernard says he went back to bed and he didn't get up until it was time for him to go to work.
But he says that when he got home, Sean wasn't there.
Sean didn't come home that night. and Bernard thought maybe she spent the night at a friend's house.
But then the weekend came and went with no sign of her.
It wasn't until Sunday when he started getting worried.
He noticed that her SUV had been parked in the same spot as it was on Thursday night. That's what prompted him to call the police because he thought something was wrong.
I called the cops. They came out, but they didn't believe me.
I called 911 to say, hey, I'm concerned about her.
After the officers looked around, they said that they didn't see anything wrong.
Did I get a good number?
Especially after he explained that Sean was in the process of moving out.
But the officer conducting the welfare check isn't as willing to let things go.
After all, Bernard wasn't the only one who hadn't heard from her.
Had you tried contacting her daughter?
Well, she hasn't made contact with Tracy. That's why I'm here.
She haven't contacted Tracy? Something must be wrong.
Let me make contact with the detectives and I'll be in touch.
After talking to Bernard, the officer passes the information off to detectives.
First, he confirmed that he had called the police and attempted to report her missing.
In fact, they even find body cam footage from the encounter.
Have you heard anything from her? Yes, sir. That's why I called.
In the video, he explains the impeding breakup and how she's moving out.
Yeah, so mind if I look around?
No, go ahead. Look.
Her stuff haven't moved since then?
No, sir. And that was my concern.
With little else to go on, the officer's hands are tied.
I looked at the arrest record. She's not showing up on that either, as well as any hospital.
But based on what they've learned from Sean's daughter and Bernard, investigators certainly feel the situation merits a missing persons report.
Yeah, that seems kind of strange.
We'll take it from here. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
The detectives started by issuing a subpoena for Sean's cell phone records.
They know the phone records will show whether she's been, if she's used the phone at all. It will ping her location.
Then the detectives follow up at the doctor's office where Sean works.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, hello, how are y'all? Her boss explains that everyone loves her. She's a joy to work with.
She says that Sean is incredibly reliable and a hard worker.
She also says that Sean rarely ever calls in sick.
She always went to work on time.
So it was very surprising and shocking when she didn't show up and didn't call.
I tried to reach out to her Friday.
Sean's manager said that they'd send text messages during the morning hours and then stated they tried to call during the afternoon. But phone went straight to voicemail.
She never called you back?
No, which was really unlike her.
So now detectives are curious. Did Sean talk much about her personal life at work?
Her manager says that she was pretty private.
That is, until recently.
She started opening up about issues she was having with Bernard. They were going through a breakup.
And according to her manager, Sean and Bernard were not on good terms.
This contradicted what Bernard had told detectives.
The manager also said that one big issue stood out.
He was evicting her. Give me my phone!
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Sean Macklin have learned that her boyfriend, Bernard Stokes, was trying to evict the 56-year-old office manager from their apartment.
The breakup was not as amicable as Bernard had painted the picture.
Her manager actually stated Sean requested Monday off so that she can go to court to deal with the eviction.
Which is one reason Sean's manager wasn't too worried when she didn't show up at work on Friday.
I just thought she took off because, she was trying to find a place or something.
But then she says she received a strange call at the office on Monday.
Bernard called and asked for Sean.
She thought it was strange that he would call her job looking for her when he knew that she was supposed to be in court with him
I had no idea she was missing.
Well, thank you, ma'am, for your time.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
By the time detectives return to the station from Sean's workplace, the phone records they've requested are waiting for them. They notice she hasn't made any outgoing calls since Thursday, the 5th.
But there's several incoming calls, including calls from Bernard and Tracy.
That alone will cause detectives some concern.
However, the incoming call data does allow detectives to track Sean's movements.
The phone companies can tell detectives what location or what tower that person was near.
The phone pinged off of 2 towers.
The first ping was an hour southwest of Atlanta, in the small town of Grantville.
After it pinged in Grantville, it pinged again in Fairburn, Georgia. Now, Fairburn is halfway between Atlanta and Grantville.
So it seems like Sean goes to Grantville and starts making her way back to Atlanta.
And this was 7 hours after Bernard said that he last saw Sean.
And after that, the phone went dead.
It would be alarming if you're saying that the person is missing and then you see activity cease.
But do the phone records mean something happened to Sean? Or that she'd even gone to Grantville?
Someone else could have been in possession of the phone.
Hoping for more information, the detectives contact Sean's daughter, Tracy.
Hello?
They asked if her mother knew anybody in Granville.
I don't think so. She rarely knows anyone outside of work as far as I know. Why?
Well, her phone pinged there recently.
What?
She was already worried about her mom, and now it's even more.
She also told detectives that she's been doing a little digging on her own.
She was able to log into her mom's emails.
And what she found was troubling.
There was no activity since the 5th. There were several important emails that she didn't answer, and one was an approval for a new apartment.
The message was never opened.
Based on the phone activity and the unopened emails, the detectives believe Sean went off the grid sometime Friday.
Detectives asked Tracy, was there anyone who would want to harm your mom?
And that's when she said she was afraid something like this might happen.
What do you mean?
Well, I didn't want to say anything to begin with because I was hoping it was nothing.
But now, Sean's daughter reveals the awful truth.
Bernard was actually abusive towards her mother.
Are you sure?
Well, that's what she said.
Tracy says it started when her mother became suspicious of Bernard.
Where he's working as a maintenance man. He'll be in their houses for hours. So Miss Macklin would sometimes find it interesting that these women would want to cook for him. Wanted him to come by just to check.
Sean went through Bernard's phone looking for other women's messages and texts.
And it turned out that her suspicions may have been justified.
He was talking to another woman.
The hell are you doing?
And when Sean confronted Bernard about it, he turned violent.
Give him my phone. Give him my phone.
Tracy says that he actually broke Sean's arm.
Give me my phone!
And allegedly, the boot that she had on her foot was also because of him.
Did you ever witness him being violent?
No.
Have you ever heard him threaten her?
Not exactly.
But Tracy does say that her mother was growing increasingly afraid of Bernard.
She even took out a life insurance policy.
Tracy also said that her mother obtained a carry permit and got a gun.
According to her daughter, that's why she'd started looking for a new place.
But she didn't want to leave before having somewhere else to go.
I told her just to get out, go to a shelter if she have to. But she said she would be okay.
So at this point, Tracy is afraid that Bernard really harmed her mom.
The detectives are starting to think so too.
All right. Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch.
When they look into his background, they realized that there had been domestic calls made several times to the apartment.
Now, when police were called to come to Sean's and Bernard's house, they were all verbal arguments.
There isn't any evidence of physical abuse, including the injuries that Tracy claims her mom sustained.
But does that mean that what Sean told her daughter isn't true?
Domestic violence happens behind closed doors and not always is reported.
And in instances where the police will come, nothing will happen because the abuser is so good at hiding and disguising what is actually going on.
However, there are some things that Bernard can't hide from the detectives.
He has a litany of charges.
But what is most shocking is that in 1992, he was convicted of murder.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Sean Macklin have just learned that her boyfriend Bernard has been previously convicted of murder.
In the 1992 murder, he killed his roommate.
At first, he says he murdered his roommate out of self-defense, thinking that the roommate was an intruder.
He told an entire story. How he heard noise, he grabbed a gun, and shot this person by mistake.
It might have worked, if not for one thing.
I'm leaving. Y'all need my money. I don't have your money. I'm leaving. You're not leaving, going anywhere. How you gonna try to make you?
His roommate had a feeling that he was going to do something to him. So what his roommate did was put a recorder in his pocket.
And the recorder told a very different story than the one Bernard gave police.
They actually had an argument. They were arguing about him moving.
This was a dispute over rent.
During this argument, he's asking Stokes questions. Why do you have that gun in your hand? What are you going to do with that gun? And you can hear the gun go off.
The recording even captured Bernard attempting to cover up the crime.
911, what's your emergency? Stokes calls 911, tell 911 that he believes that someone was trying to break into the home, and he mistakenly shot this roommate.
The tape was more than enough to put Bernard away.
He took that case to trial, he lost, and he was convicted.
He served more than 20 years in prison before being released on parole.
And now that Sean is missing, the detectives wonder if Bernard is making a second attempt at getting away with murder.
When he was caught the first time, he had all these years to kind of think about the mistakes that he had made.
After uncovering Bernard's prior conviction, the detectives reach out to his parole officer.
His PO says that since he's been released, he has been mild-mannered and he's trying to get his life together.
The parole officer also says that Sean knew about his past.
Sean was aware of this murder, and she was trying to help him. She had a loving heart. You know, she wanted to see him succeed.
That says a lot about her personality, right? She may have just believed in him, or maybe she wanted really to believe in love that bad to where she would kind of look past even murder.
But had her faith in Bernard ended up costing Sean her life?
Just because Bernard's parole officer speaks highly of him does not mean that he would not kill again.
Hoping to find out, the detectives head to Bernard's apartment with a search warrant.
How's it going? We got a warrant to search your apartment.
When detectives confront Bernard, he doesn't shy away from his criminal background, nor does he shy away from the domestic calls.
But he does say that Sean was the instigator.
She's jealous, she's controlling. She even tried to call my kid's mom and threaten her. It was crazy.
He definitely tried to make himself into the victim.
According to Bernard, that's why they were splitting up.
He said he just got tired of Sean's jealousy.
He just wanted her to leave.
And when she tried to stall it, She said she had to wait till she get her place.
That's why he had no choice but to file the eviction.
The detectives have their doubts, though.
Eviction wasn't the only way to get rid of Sean.
So she just left? Yeah. And I'm not lying about her. Look here.
He tells detectives he has a video, and you can see how Sean was.
He actually recorded the last argument they had.
The video is only a few seconds long, but you can hear Sean yelling at Bernard from the bathroom.
I don't give a damn.
Shit, that's what I'm saying. You do them and take it out on me.
I ain't taking nothing out on you. I don't want to take your life out on you. It's your life.
You do.
And since they have a search warrant, there's nothing he can do to stop them from looking around.
They also luminol the apartment.
Luminol is a chemical that can reveal where someone has cleaned up bloodstains.
At first, the results are disappointing.
That's until they get to the bathroom.
And when we luminol the bathroom, you can see blood.
Detectives investigating Sean Macklin's disappearance have just found evidence of blood in the apartment she shared with her boyfriend, Bernard Stokes.
Luminol reveals that there is splatters of blood in the bathroom.
You can see blood smears on the bathroom handle, the bathroom sink, and also on the floor.
There's also blood on the molding and a comb on the counter.
It's not enough to prove that anyone was killed in the bathroom, but it is quite suspicious.
Hey, Bernard.
When detectives ask Bernard about the blood, he says he has no idea how it got there.
However, given all they knew about Bernard's criminal past and his alleged abuse of Sean, the detectives didn't believe him.
All right, we're gonna have you come down to the precinct for some more questions. We'll meet you down there.
It's fine.
But before they head back to the station, the detectives stop by the apartment complex's management office.
They want to see the surveillance video, the hours surrounding Sean's disappearance.
When they review the video, they get the first evidence that Bernard is lying.
First of all, they're able to see Sean the evening before her disappearance.
On November 5th, around 7 p.m., you see on surveillance video, she exits her car and she goes into her building.
But they never see her leave again.
And there's no chance she could have left out a different exit?
No, we have 17 cameras. It'd have showed up if so.
You roll forward to the next morning?
Sure.
However, the cameras do capture Bernard leaving early the next morning.
They see Bernard leave the apartment on the 6th at 6:52 a.m.
Earlier, in his statement to police, he said he didn't leave till 8 that morning.
And the lie isn't the only thing the cameras catch.
We see him kind of back his pickup truck to the trash compactor area, and the bed was empty.
Unfortunately, the cameras don't pick up what happened.
But when he pulls back out 20 minutes later, there's several items in the bed.
One of the items that they see is a big box.
Where did this box come from? And why does he have it?
For detectives, the answer is simple.
Her body was in that box.
In his hallway, there's no cameras that lead to the compactor where we believe he drug her body before he backed his truck in and picked the body up and put it in the truck.
Bernard then leaves the complex and doesn't return until 4:30 that afternoon.
And guess what's missing from the truck? That big box.
And when he gets out of the truck, Bernard is also wearing different clothes than he had on when he left.
So where did he go for 7 hours? What happened to the stuff in the bed of his truck? And why is he wearing different clothing?
Detectives believe there may be a way to answer at least some of those questions.
Detectives place a trace on his license plate for the truck.
The trace allows detectives to go through the reams of data collected by traffic cameras and license plate readers scattered throughout Metro Atlanta.
You just simply can't get away with murder anymore. We have too much technology.
After requesting the data, the detectives sit down with Bernard.
They want to see if Bernard's going to be honest.
Detectives ask him, what did he do in the moments after Sean left?
Unaware of what detectives have uncovered, Bernard sticks to his story.
I told you after she left, I went back to sleep now and get up to about 8 a.m.
So detectives press him and ask him, did he go outside? And he says no.
You never left the apartment at all?
No, I was in bed.
Detectives then let him know, we saw you on camera, and then he explains, finally, oh yeah, I went out to go get a cigar.
Detectives don't believe him at all.
So detectives try to appeal to Bernard's compassion.
You must have loved Sean. Don't you want to help us find her?
Of course.
He acknowledges he cared about her and he wouldn't do anything to hurt her.
But then he reveals something that is very interesting to police.
He tells detectives that he believes Sean and her daughter organized her disappearance.
Why would they do that?
To get back at me, I guess.
He said Sean was mad that he was kicking her out.
And you didn't have anything to do with it.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
But the detectives are about to call his bluff.
So, you don't have a problem taking a polygraph test?
And that's when he shuts down.
He does not want to talk anymore.
Looks like I'm gonna need a lawyer.
Suspected of killing his missing girlfriend, Sean Macklin, 57-year-old Bernard Stokes is now refusing to say more to detectives without an attorney.
He stopped talking as soon as the detective suggested that he take a polygraph.
It's enough to convince the detectives that he's lying.
We know that they were going through problems. She was leaving him. And so as we know, an indicator of homicide is when the victim of the domestic violence finally decides to leave.
However, something is still missing.
You have a murder case without a body.
Which is why the detectives had high hopes for the license plate recognition data.
And when they receive the results of the trace, they get a clear picture of where Bernard went the morning Sean disappeared.
Bernard left Atlanta and headed to Grantville.
Exactly where Sean's phone pinged.
2 hours later, he was recorded in College Park, a few miles from where Sean's phone last pinged.
Then they pick up his truck in Riverdale at a store.
Through surveillance, we watch him buy new men's clothes, going into the men's bathroom, changing those clothes from the clothes that he had on from when he left the apartment, and then throwing those clothes into the dumpster.
But unfortunately, even with a detailed plot of Bernard's movements that day, detectives still come up short.
They never found her body.
Other than the hits of following him through the course of him driving throughout Georgia, we don't know what he did. That is something that's still a mystery to us.
Bernard, stand up.
Despite that, the detectives place Bernard under arrest for murder.
Phone data, the license plate, the blood in the bathroom, and the surveillance video was enough evidence to make a good case.
But without Sean's body, Will it be enough for a conviction when Bernard goes on trial in October of 2023?
These cases are often very hard to prosecute.
That's a very difficult climb because you have jurors wondering, do you really know if this person is dead or not?
I'll be out of here soon.
When they lay out their case, the prosecutors contend that Bernard and Sean got into an argument because she was leaving him.
She got approved for her apartment the day that we believe this disagreement happened. Mr. Stokes knew that.
So you think you're just gonna move out?
I thought that's what you wanted.
It's possible that his goal in evicting Sean was another attempt at maintaining control. And when she did not beg for him back, when he lost that control, he couldn't take it.
The prosecutors admit that they don't know exactly how he killed Sean.
But they argue that her body was in the box Bernard hauled away from his apartment the morning she disappeared.
The prosecution also argues that Bernard only reported Sean missing to cover his tracks.
In addition, and this is how sneaky he was, he actually called Miss Macklin's phone and left voicemails on her phone to cover it up.
You coming home tonight or what? It's late.
When it's the defense's turn, Bernard says that he'd been just as desperate to find Sean as anyone.
Bernard maintained his innocence throughout the trial.
But Bernard's claims make little impression on the jury.
Even without a body, the jury believes that the evidence is sufficient to convict Bernard.
He didn't think that people would take all the steps necessary that would be required to prove him guilty of murder. And, we did.
He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
It's a welcome relief to those wanting to see Bernard off the streets.
When the judge sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole, it was even better. Because we know that he doesn't even have a chance, like he did for the 1992 murder, to get out and hurt anyone else.
But the prosecutors also see Sean's story as a warning to others.
Something that stuck with me in this case was that she stayed because she wanted to wait until she was secure enough to leave. I wish she had left.
It also continues to haunt the family and friends that Sean left behind.
It's challenging because they never found the body. When we're thinking about grief, when we're thinking about closure, without having a body, having a memorial, it doesn't allow you to process your emotional experiences.
Just like Michelle.
Michelle works with a pro bono attorney to apply for the program. And in May of that year, she receives an official response signed by President Obama.
The letter said that you are a prime example of rehabilitation, and therefore I granted you clemency. I screamed. A huge weight was lifted that day.
Since her release, Michelle hasn't missed a beat in rebuilding her life.
I'm so proud of her because she came home and she got right on her feet.
Michelle is in a healthy relationship. She has her own place. She's gainfully employed.
Right now, I work for a nonprofit organization that deals with formerly incarcerated individuals. She has taken control of her life and she's making healthy choices and she's understanding her worth and she loves herself and she loves her freedom.
Michelle hopes her experience can serve as a warning to other young women who face a similar dilemma. Losing yourself in your man.
I wish to reach young girls to really deter them from making the same mistake that I did. Don't do it Don't date a drug dealer. Don't date anyone doing anything illegal. It only leads to exactly what happened to me, prison. Or a casket, depending.
Every king needs a queen, a woman with whom to share the spoils of his kingdom, and a love more powerful than any bond. But when you're in too deep, and your crown begins to tarnish, your kingdom can fade before your eyes. And when you begin to fall, your king isn't there to catch you.